Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Jennifer Vino, the Red, White, and Blue Schools Coordinator, and I'm happy to welcome you here today to kick off our 2024-2025 school year program. Red, White, and Blue Schools is a partnership between the offices of the Connecticut Secretary of the State, the Connecticut Department of Education, and the Connecticut Democracy Center, and is generously supported by the Scripps Family Fund for Education and the Arts and Connecticut Humanities. The Secretary of the State's office, the Connecticut Department of Education, and the Connecticut Democracy Center share a common goal of educating students on how to be active and engaged members of their communities so that they can eventually become informed voters. I am pleased to announce this year's theme, Our Government, Our Voices. Government is a very heavy term, and it encompasses multiple institutions that impact all of our lives every day. Today we have with us representatives from each of the Red, White, and Blue Schools partners. Each organization is an institution that is part of government and represents a means for people to both learn about issues impacting them and to find ways to share their thoughts on how to improve issues. At this time, a representative from each of the Red, White, and Blue Schools partners will say a few words. I'm pleased to introduce our first partner, Secretary of the State, Stephanie Thomas.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's so nice to have you on the team this year. Good afternoon. How is everyone? I need energy today because it's also the first day of early voting. Good afternoon. I'm really excited to be here for the launch of the 2024-2025 Red, White, and Blue Schools program. As you heard, this is a great partnership. It goes back to 2016, and it is a personal honor to get to work with the Commissioner, Sally, Stephen, Ariane, Jennifer, and Brian, who have really helped to shape this year's program, Our Government, Our Voice. Today, as I said, is the first day of early voting, and one thing has become clear to me that during a presidential election, everybody's talking about civics. Yeah, literally, I was driving up to Hartford today. I think I saw 3 billboards about, we always hear, your vote is your voice, make your voice heard, and it is fantastic. But our work comes into play the other 364 days a year, when sadly not enough people are talking about civics. And for our office, we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that people understand that living in a representative democracy as we do is not a one-way street, but a two-way dialogue between government and the governed. And it's a dialogue in which each of us have a really important role to play. And yes, Election Day is an important part of that process, but every day of the year is when we can also continue to have an impact. So this year's program challenges students to think about civics in a more personal way, how to use their own unique voice to have an impact in their communities. Through the program, we can show students the importance of engagement and teach them that it can come at any time, at any age, in so many different forms. The opportunities for students to learn how they can impact their government and community are really limitless. We were just brainstorming over there a little bit. Public presentation, persuasive writing, and research are just a few of the skills that our participants may develop. But compassion, self-expression, and curiosity are other byproducts that may be gained by asking students to consider their broader community. All of our past winners have made their schools, or I shouldn't say all, but many of our past winners have come up with really great ways. Last year, one of our winners made their school easier to navigate for those with physical challenges. Others fostered multicultural spaces for students to learn more about one another's backgrounds. And yet another produced informative newscasts for their fellow students. And I can go on and on. The Red, White, and Blue Schools program is not just for the students and the teachers. They aren't the only ones who do learning throughout this process. The families, the friends, the community members, the nonprofits, those who are elected to serve, all learn something while going through this process. The impact of this program is far-reaching, extending far beyond the classroom, and it provides all of us with collective impact. Our government, our voice, it's a great phrase that I think I will now start using everywhere because we often put up artificial barriers between ourselves and government and our office at least, and I think all of our partners here today and all of you are committed to breaking down those silos so that we form one community. So I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with this year. Don't forget to get your submissions in on time, and thank you for your work in helping to build a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. The next person to speak has the privilege of working inside this beautiful building, the old State House, every day. Please welcome the Executive Director of the Connecticut Democracy Center, Sally Whipple.
Thank you, Jennifer. I really am lucky to work in this building every day. It is a building that served as our state's capital, as one of our state's capitals, for 100 years, starting in 1796. And it is a place that housed all three branches of government in one building. Right now, we're sitting in the judicial branch. This was the courtroom for many years, and many, many cases were held here. Upstairs, we have the legislative branch, where we have the historic Senate and House. And across the hall, we had the executive branch, where we had the governor's office and the treasurer's office and the comptroller's office. It is a building that speaks to government. You can feel government when you come here. But we also hope that people feel people like them when they come here, because government is one thing and voice is another. And it is so important for all of us to find the ways to use our voices most effectively in buildings like this and just out in the world in general, in our own neighborhoods, in our own communities, in our town halls. We need to take informed action. We need to understand the past. We need to understand where we have come from and how we have gotten here. So history is a really important part of civics. And when I think about this building and all of the time that it stood here, all of the people who came together here to make decisions, whether it was determining a court case, passing a law, building a budget, those were all decisions that were made by government, but always with people's voices. People telling their opinion to their government, to their officials, people talking to other people. That's what government is, that's what civics is. A couple of years ago at National Civic Learning Week, I heard my favorite definition of civics, which is anytime two people get together and talk, which sounds a little bit loosey-goosey maybe, but I think it's a very good definition of civics. Another definition that I like is people working across differences to solve a problem or to make a difference. And I think that's one of the best things that a good civics lesson can teach. How we work together, even though we may not agree on everything, how do we come together to solve a problem that's affecting our community? So civics, sometimes when you tell people, oh yeah, I work in history and civics, they kind of glaze over. Those sound a little bit boring to a lot of people. But I always think people don't know that they love civics and history until they get a real taste of it and see what it is. So that is something that Red, White, and Blue really encourages people across the state to do. Get involved with civics, with history. Get involved with understanding your community and the ways that you can raise your voice to help your community. And it can be done in many, many ways. You don't have to be a leader. It is just as valid if you are a follower, somebody who is one of the crew working along to get something done. You can participate in so many different ways. And we're providing a lot of resources for red, white, and blue schools. The more resources you have, the more you can talk to somebody like Jennifer or any of us to find out what the good resources are and how you can teach them and what would be good for your classes, the better. There are a lot of tools that we can use to bring authentic, meaningful civics education to students throughout Connecticut. And I know that many of you in the room here today have done that already, and I hope that you are poised to do it again this year. There is nothing, I think, that prepares you better for an involved, engaged, and happy life than understanding civics. It is so, so important. And when the Secretary of the State said at the beginning of her remarks that today is the first day of early voting day, I thought about the word early. And you cannot start early enough to be engaged with your community, with life. It can't be early enough. So Red, White, and Blue is for kids from K through 8. We should start very early opening children's minds to the world of civics and how they can go through life working across differences with people they know and don't know to make things better. So thank you for being here today, and I wish you a great year with Red, White, and Blue.
Thank you. And now please welcome Connecticut's Commissioner for the State Department of Education, Charlene Russell Tucker.
Thank you, Jennifer, and hello to everyone. And I have to get started by recognizing our educators, our teachers, superintendents in the room who will be recognized. Could you just stand and be recognized? If you're in the room here, that's going to get a recognition, or is this a surprise? No. Thank you for what you do every single day and for taking the time to come out this afternoon. I am really pleased to be here for the launch of the 2024-2025 Red, White, and Blue Schools program. Thank you, Secretary Thomas. You know, it's going to be a start of a really busy time, but we're with you. Appreciate that, and Sally, for the work that we do together. The real core of the Red, White, and Blue Schools program is getting our students actively engaged and participating in their communities. The program, by recognizing schools and districts that do an exemplary job of civic education, is a testament to our commitment to instill a sense of civic responsibility within our students. This year's theme, you've heard already, is Our Government, Our Voices, which emphasizes the importance of teaching students to be active and engaged citizens, right? When you get started early, you've got to admit you get hooked, right? And that's really what we want for them. From volunteering at a local community center, to writing to a local representative, to registering to vote once the student turns 18, being active and involved in one's community can take many shapes, as you heard the Secretary said, and sizes. The Red, White, and Blue Schools program's goal of increasing innovative teaching as well of civics and government in Connecticut is a great way to lay the foundation for strong civic engagement for our students. The program is one of many ways we're working to really be a catalyst for whole community and whole life change and engagement for all our students, starting, as you said, at the very young age. See, at the Department of Education, we recognize the value and importance of civics education, especially as it relates to preparing our students for life beyond school. In addition to the program we're here to celebrate today, civic participation is a key goal of our State Board of Education's 5-year comprehensive plan that seeks to ensure that all Connecticut learners acquire the skills and knowledge they will need to succeed in college, career, and civic life. Civics education, with its emphasis on developing critical thinking, and there's something to be said for that, is essential for teaching our students 21st century skills and can help prepare them for thoughtful participation in our democracy and will also equip them for life, learning, and work beyond school. Certainly want to thank the department's own Steve Armstrong. Where's Steve? Sitting right up here. Thank you, Steve. Yes, a nice round of applause for Steve. Steve does all this work, and I'm sure he's no stranger in the room, but Steve is also co-chair of the governor-appointed Civic Education, Civic Engagement, and Media Literacy Task Force. I know that's a mouthful, but this group's goal is to study and develop strategies to improve and promote civic engagement and instruction in civics, citizenship, media literacy, and American government. And they have a report coming out pretty soon. And Steve, no pressure here, but we're really looking for a good report coming from the group. So when we encourage our students to become civically minded and to take ownership of the impact that they can have in their own communities, we're cultivating the next generation of leaders, opening doors to what we're calling this year in education a universe of opportunities for these young people, which just so happened to be, as I said, our theme this year. I'm looking forward to seeing the projects and the programs that will come out of this year's initiative. And as the Secretary reminded us, today happened to be the day that early voting began in Connecticut. And a shout out to all our educators out there who are assisting our students in understanding this upcoming election, maybe a tall order, teaching them about local issues and national issues, and for them to make connections in their communities. And this is really what civic education is all about. It's exposing our students to issues, educating them on the variety of ways to get involved, and letting them find their own voice to participate in their community and in civic life. So looking forward to this. Congratulations again for those of you who have done awesome work. We'll find ways to make sure we put it out there, social media, maybe inviting you to a state board meeting so we can continue to build up some support here for this upcoming program. But thank you again for all that you do for students every single day and taking care of yourself so you can take care of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner, and to all of our speakers. I believe it was our Executive Director, Whipple, who said, when we hear the word government, many people think about the branches, politics, voting, and frankly, it doesn't always sound very positive or exciting. However, government is all around us. When we wake up in the morning and turn on the TV or the radio, that's aging myself, when we turn on a streaming device. What we're hearing is regulated by federal government agencies. The way we power that device is regulated by a state power company. Our clothes, our food are inspected by a government agency. How our children get to school involves a vehicle, fuel source, roads. Those streets are named through a regulated process, how they are paved, the trees that are planted along the way. It's all connected to federal, state, and local government. When students arrive at school, their day is guided by mandates from all levels, but the school itself is a microcosm of leaders, participants, and rules. Children do not have to wait until they are 18 and voting to use their voices and express their thoughts about government. They work together to create class charters. They petition teachers for extra free time. They argue the fairness of rules and consequences. And if you have children at home, you know they have this skill. They are already active and engaged citizens, and we want them to remain active and engaged throughout their lives. It's critical that we provide students with knowledge of how people have been impacted by government decisions, sometimes with varying impacts to different groups of people, both historically and in the present day, both at national and community levels. It is even more important that students understand that people have used their voices to influence governmental leaders to make change. Using one's voice does not always have to result in massive changes, such as what was witnessed during the Civil Rights Movement, but we want students to recognize that change started with individual voices in local communities, and as people worked together, their influence grew. While we see national politicians and protests on our news, it is in our local communities where people can influence the greatest change. With this year's theme, we invite applicants to submit activities that help students understand both how government impacts people's lives and how government decisions are often made as a result of the involvement of the people. Discussions and activities about government can include elections and the structure of national, state, and local governments, but they may also focus on institutions such as school boards, local committees, and regulatory agencies that impact our daily lives. We encourage applicants to share activities that guide students to recognize that people, past and present, can use their voices in a variety of ways to ensure that government institutions consider all people when making decisions. As teachers prepare their applications this year, we ask them to consider how the activities encourage students to be civic-minded. And we have created an acronym to guide our rubric this year. C for civics, I for inquiry, V for voices, I for individual, and C for community. Activities should reflect the civics and inquiry disciplines of the Connecticut elementary and secondary social studies standards. Activities should allow for voices of various community members to be studied and heard. Activities should focus on the relevance of the topics to individual students, how civics is part of their daily life at different levels, and how individuals can participate. And finally, there should be a focus on community impact, including how governments impact the community and how communities can create change. As noted, we encourage teachers to refer to the newly released Connecticut Social Studies standards, particularly those in the civics discipline, to see grade level topics that can be discussed in the classroom. Many activities are already being done in classrooms across our state that are aligned to these standards and can help students realize that government is not something that is done to us. It requires our voices in order to best serve the needs of all people. We hope that many teachers will apply for a Red, White, and Blue Schools recognition this year. Information about the theme, rubrics, and the application itself can be found at www.rwbschools.org. Teachers can sign up for e-blasts and view resources to help them get started planning on how to embed the theme, Our Government, Our Voices, into class lessons or school activities. Throughout the year, we will offer PD sessions that delve deeper into the resources available. We encourage teachers to reach out with any questions through the link on our website. One way that we can encourage more people to participate in our program is to recognize past participants. And I'm happy to get to do that right now as we honor last year's participants for the theme of connecting communities. May I ask the Secretary of State, the Commissioner of Education, and the Executive Director to please join me. When we announce your school, please bring all representatives to receive your certificate, and we'll take a quick photo. So first we have the school that earned our outstanding recognition this past year, Cornwall Consolidated School. Thank you. Congratulations. The next school received a distinction in their recognition, and that is 6-6 Magnet School from Bridgeport. Great, thank you. Our next school also received a distinction, and that is William J. Johnston Middle School. And that's Colchester. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great. Our next school to recognize today is Andover Elementary School. Thank you. Our next school is East Hartford High School. Thank you. Next, we have Natchog School from Wyndham. Great, thank you. Our next school is Odyssey Community School from Manchester. Thank you. And our next two schools that are recognized are actually school districts, as we had multiple schools involved in them. So first, Plainville Community Schools, Plainville High School, Middle School of Plainville, Linden Street Elementary, Toughlin Elementary, and Wheeler Elementary. Here, I'm getting all of them for you. You were the keeper of the certificate. Great, thank you, congratulations. And then finally, Seymour Public Schools, recognizing Seymour High School, Seymour Middle School, Bungay Elementary, and Chatfield-Lopresti Elementary. Great. And before I dismiss our panel, did I miss anybody? Okay. Thank you all. We would also like to recognize the schools who couldn't be here today: Deep River Elementary, Hamden High School, Mile Creek School in Old Lyme, Mountain View Elementary School in Bristol, and Wheeler High School in North Stonington. We truly appreciate all the work these educators and students did last year. Additionally, I would like to thank a few people who have worked tirelessly to ensure that this year's Red, White, and Blue Schools program would be successful. Of course, our three dignitaries here, Secretary of State Thomas, Executive Director Whipple, and Commissioner of Education Russell Tucker. Thank you so much. Additionally, I would like to recognize Steve Armstrong, our social studies consultant for the Connecticut State Department of Education, Ariana Roscoe, the Director of Outreach and Engagement for the Secretary of State, Brian Cofrancesco, Director of Kid Governor, who's been taking a lot of our photos today, and I'll embarrass her, Allison Rao, Schools Program Coordinator at Connecticut's Old State House. This program today wouldn't have been possible without the contributions of all of those people mentioned. We do hope to receive applications from many schools next year, and again, encourage you to join our mailing list found at www.rwbschools.org, and stay up on the resources that we post to help you with your planning. We will be holding a virtual professional development session on November 12th to review the rubrics and application, and to also look at some of the resources we already have on the website. I'd now like to invite everyone for refreshments, and if you had expressed an interest in a quick tour of the Old State House, we're going to have you assembled back in the Great Hall. But before we have everyone leave, we do invite all the schools to come up so we can take one big group photo. And then you are free to have some snacks and walk around. Thank you so much.